Welcome to ECCB Connects, a public education initiative of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, where we share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. On this episode, Chief Director Policy at the ECCB, Tracy Polius, joins us for a discussion on the establishment of a regional standard-setting body for the regulation of the non-bank financial sector in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. How does this work and what will it look like? Join us for the discussion after this message.
Register and secure your spot at the 8th Annual Growth and Resilience Dialogue. Explore new emerging trends and accelerate your learning. Dynamic leaders will take you on a deep dive into 2 master classes covering design thinking, a creative approach to problem solving, and strategies for successful business innovation in the Caribbean. Panel discussants will engage you on how to nurture a culture of innovation that leads to disruptive new products and services. And that's not all. Live AI demonstrations in healthcare, agriculture, education, finance, and the creative arts will take you to a higher level. Learn from Caribbean entrepreneurs and creatives on breaking through barriers to make it on the international stage.
As a region, we cannot change our history and we cannot change our geography. But together, we can elevate our development trajectory through innovation and collective action. Let's do it.
Online attendees will also have an opportunity to win an early bird registration prize valued at $2,700 EC if their registration is received on or before the 30th of March 2024. Visit the ECCB's 8th Growth and Resilience Dialogue webpage to register and secure your spot today.
Tracy, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
The Monetary Council of the ECCB, which is the ECCB's highest decision-making body, has approved the concept for the establishment of what is called a regional standard-setting body. And this has to do with the regulation of non-bank financial institutions in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. We know you are the leader in this regard at the bank. If you will, explain to us, what is a regional standard-setting body?
A regional standard-setting body is an institution that is established to set guidelines and regulations to regulate a particular industry or a particular market. In our case, we are looking at establishing regulations and guidelines for the regulation of the non-bank financial sector in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Now, regional standard-setting bodies are not novel, though it's in the Eastern Caribbean, we may say it's novel. The ECCB itself is a regional standard-setting body because it is the regulator for all commercial banks and licensed financial institutions within the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. So in that regard, it is a standard-setting body, a regional standard-setting body. So we do have standard-setting bodies elsewhere in the world, such as in Europe, where we have the single supervisory mechanism for the supervision of commercial banks in Europe, and also a single regulatory mechanism for the supervision of pensions and insurance companies as well.
So basically, it's a body put in place to ensure that these particular sets of institutions operate within the same guidelines and according to the same parameters.
Correct. So it is a body that will be established to ensure that we have what we call even guidelines, even application of regulations and guidelines to non-bank financial entities across the currency union to avoid what we call regulatory arbitrage. That means financial institutions taking advantage of jurisdictions where the regulations may be a little bit more soft or a little bit more lax. So when you have even application of the rules and the guidelines, you reduce the likely occurrence of what we call regulatory arbitrage.
What are some examples of these non-bank financial institutions? I think some of us, we hear about non-bank, but if you will break it down, what is the difference between a commercial bank and a non-bank?
Okay, so non-bank financial institutions are institutions, well, really that are not banks. So for instance, credit unions, although they are in a sense, deposit-taking institutions. They are not commercial banks. They operate on the basis of shares, and they are member-driven, and therefore they are not commercial banks. So credit unions are non-banks, insurance companies are non-banks, development banks are also non-bank financial institutions. So any financial institution that is not licensed under the Banking Act for the purposes of this reform, we are classifying as non-bank financial institutions.
The ECCB has a mandate to ensure the integrity of the banking system. Explain to us, with the establishment of this regional standard setting body, how that will contribute to the ECCB's fulfillment.
So it contributes to the ECCB's fulfillment of its mandate because it will help support even regulation of the financial sector within the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. And what I mean by that is that in some cases, while the ECCB regulates commercial banks, those commercial banks form part of what we call a financial conglomerate. So the commercial bank may be part of a group of companies which may include, for instance, an insurance company, a securities broker-dealer, and the like. And therefore, establishment of the regional standard setting body will help ensure that there is improved regulation of other aspects of those financial conglomerates, and therefore it will support the ECCB's mandate for greater financial stability within the region. So that's one way in which it supports the ECCB in the execution of its objective, its mandate for financial stability.
How will the regional standard setting body work? What are some of the requirements to actually action or operationalize this body?
One principle is that we want to minimize the separation between regulation and supervision. And the way we hope to achieve that is that while the regulations would be done at the center, at the regional level, we will ensure that the national regulators continue to supervise the non-bank financial sector. And minimizing the separation between regulation and supervision would mean that those national regulators would participate in some way at the regional level in the establishment of those guidelines and standards that they are going to be using for supervision. So that's the main principle upon which we hope to design the regional standard setting body.
And we already have national regulators in place across all ECCU territories.
Yes, all ECCU countries have national regulators that are right now responsible for regulation and supervision of the non-bank financial sector. The second thing that must happen is that the mandate of the regional standard setting body must be established in law, and we hope that can be established through agreement, and that agreement would be, the mandate would be given through an act of parliament in each parliament for every member country.
Tracy, as you said, this concept, the regional standard setting body, is in its infancy stages. What are the next steps to actually bring it into operation?
The Monetary Council has directed the central bank to consult with stakeholders to ensure that the design for the regional standard setting body is fit for purpose. Therefore, the next step is to consult with our member countries on the design for the regional standard setting body. We hope to meet with the Ministries of Finance, the Attorney General's chambers or parliamentary councils, as well as the national regulators to ensure that the design is fit for purpose and that we address all aspects of the regulatory process.
How will the establishment of the regional standard setting body actually benefit the people of the ECCU in practical terms?
It will benefit the people of the region in a number of ways. For financial institutions such as insurance companies, it will reduce the cost of compliance to the regulations because they will have a single set of standards which they will utilize for filing with the regulators in each island. So they will not have to comply with different guidelines in each island. So that reduces the cost of compliance.
And it makes sense because many of these institutions are multi-jurisdictional. They operate in Montserrat and in Grenada, so it makes sense to have one set of rules that applies across the region.
Correct. So it will help in that manner improve the cost of doing business, improve the doing business environment, reduce the compliance cost, and improve the single financial space in the currency union, because you're having one set of standards utilized across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, thereby completing the currency union, the single financial space. It will also help improve the stability of financial institutions across the currency union with improved oversight and improved regulation. So will enhance financial stability on aggregate in the currency union.
So the people can be comfortable knowing that the institutions are all being managed or held to the same standard when it comes to ensuring they are in compliance.
That is correct. The people could be comfortable, have peace of mind, knowing that we are now looking at revising regulations to improve and enhance the way financial institutions are regulated and improve the stability of our financial system on a whole.
Tracy, thanks so much for speaking with us and for explaining how the establishment of this regional standard setting body is going to address some of the gaps that currently exist regarding regulation of non-bank financial institutions.
Thank you for having me, Karina.
ECCB Connects is the official handle of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. How do you know it's the ECCB? All posts and reactions made by the ECCB on social media will carry the username ECCB Connects and feature this profile picture. Other pages with the name Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, such as these, are not official pages. Like, subscribe, and follow us today. You'll know it's the ECCB by this profile pic and the handle at ECCB Connects.
We've come to the end of this episode of ECCB Connects, where we've been speaking with Chief Director Policy at the ECCB, D. Tracy Polius, about the establishment of a regional standard setting body for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. This body, once established, will be responsible for the development of uniform standards for the regulation of the non-bank financial sector. Next steps include consultations with stakeholders, including attorneys general, ministries of finance, and national regulators. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to join us next week for another episode of ECCB Connects.